have Miss Silvia Rancilio with a PID controller attached. The machine is on. All I had to do was plug it in and flip on this power lever and it shows a green display. So the machine has been heating up for about 10 to 15 minutes now. And when the machine does start up, sometimes if you haven't used it in a day or two, the pressure inside will build up and you'll hear maybe a slight whistling or knocking sound. All you have to do is do the lever to the left and that releases a little bit of the pressure. But then I would just turn it back to the right to seal it, just so it has enough pressure buildup to get warmed up for when you pull your first shot. Over here, this is just my own little setup that I have. These are things that you'll need to make sure that you can pull a shot. I have a grinder here, my beans, my scale, and then my tamper, and some other little tools. So first what I do is I'm just going to cut this on my scale and I'm going to put it here and clear it just so I can measure out 13.8 grams of beans. That is what I've dialed in this machine to be able to pull an accurate shot. So I just scoop my beans into here. Okay. Oh. Okay. We have 13.8, and now that we have our beans measured, I'm just going to pour it into the bean chamber on my Eureka Mignon Oro. And I just make sure this little lever is flipped in, and then I let it go. To give it one pump while it's moving, then I cut it off and get the excess. Now I have the Portafilter here. It's been kind of warming up in there, which is fine, but I'm just going to flip this, and with this access I just go the opposite way to level it out. Okay, and what I like to do is, this is just a little sifting tool you can get just to break up your grind, just to help it be even so the water goes through it the same. And just kind of get these little pieces. I'm just going to level it out first. And then I have this nice little normcore tamper. Has a wavy design in it. And I just tamp that down. Nice. And then I have this little filter here just to help with the water. And it keeps the shower screen on the machine clean. And that's when I just load up the machine. And then we are ready to pull our first shot. So what I like to do is I just flip on this little coffee button. It's not going to make the shot come out. That doesn't mean it's broken. You just have to click this on before you control the machine with the PID controller. I've already adjusted all the settings so that they are set to make a nice shot. So you don't have to worry about any of that. If you ever wanted to adjust this, I would adjust it before you pull your shot. Okay, so now I have preloaded our grinded beans into our Portafilter, and my coffee button is on. So the way that you control the Rancilio is just by pressing this button here next to the set button. This is if you wanted to adjust the settings, and this is just the up and down controllers that you use to do that. But this button right here is the one that you hit to pull the shot. So we can go ahead and do that. And that's just the pre-fusion or pre-infusion for So now we have our shot, and you can kind of see the crema here on top. These beans are not the freshest, but even still, with not having the freshest beans, it still pulled a pretty decent shot. So after I just get the puck out, after you pull the shot and you dump the puck, you can just go ahead and clear out the group head and rinse off the portafilter, and that's just going to keep things clean and keep your espresso beans from just building up inside here. That's just more to clean. So all I do is just take it out, and I just click the same button that we would have clicked for pulling a shot, but it's just going to be water that comes out. And then it's just going to be like a little shower, and I just rinse it off, and then I just put it back after I've dried it. So then that's all clean, and we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so we have our shot here. Usually you would go ahead and have your milk poured before you pull a shot, but just for video purposes, we're doing things differently. For the milk, I just pour it just, I would say for this cup size anyways, just below the lower indentation of the spout. That will be enough. So now for the frothing of the milk, we have this heated up, but what we're going to do is, it's already turned to the right and we have our milk poured. We're just going to turn on this steam button. This button actually does control the steam. You don't control it with the PID controller. You only control the steam wand with this button. Same thing goes for water. If you were trying to make hot tea, or you just need hot water, you just would click these and it would start. So you have to keep this in mind. You can see it squirted out a little bit. That's just because the pressure is already building in here. So what we're going to do before we undo it is we're just going to click this, and that's going to get it started. You want to make sure that this button and this button are never on at the same time. So make sure you always turn this off before you turn this on. Okay, so it's starting to build up. I'm gonna open it, and that's just gonna get all that stuff out. And you always grab this here just because it gets really hot. So I'm gonna watch this. I let it start working its way up. I'd say right around this point is when I will turn the knob. And this is where I just undo the steam wand. Okay, and then I'm going to undo it. The wand is in here. I'm going to let it breathe a little bit. And then I'm going to stick it to the bottom. And I want to make a whirlpool. So I'm going to kind of have this angle down. And then I start bringing it to the surface. And that's when we can start frothing. It does heat up pretty quick, so you don't really have to steam it for too long. So I just kind of let it whisper on the top of the milk. And it kind of creates a vortex. So now it's really hot, so I'm just going to close it off. Okay, and then I'll put it back over here and cut this off and let it breathe. So it's going to steam a little bit. Of course, we're going to give our milk a little bit of a swirl and get the air bubbles out. You want to make a pretty latte. And of course, after you do that, you always want to wipe your steam wand here just so that this milk doesn't solidify in there. Make sure it's not too hot for you. And then I just go in and clean that off. And clean as you go. once it's kind of gotten to this point, it will kind of start to drop back down to the 203 mark, which is what I kind of have it set to, just to be at safe temperature so it doesn't ever burn the espresso. You can turn this water button on. I just do that to clear out any milk. You don't have to. It's just an extra step I take just to push out all the stuff inside the steam wand, if there is even anything, which there probably isn't. But I just click this just to cool down the machine. You can just cut that off. It's gonna spit a little bit, and then I just turn it and seal it back, and it's gonna regulate back to the original temperature. Now, back for our latte, I'm just gonna go in, do a little swirl, and then I'm gonna rush it. And then we have a little flour and a spill.